taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
Hello and good day and welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast for October 23rd, 2018. My name is Asheninity. I'm here as always with Cybsidian, and this is the Tuesday show, the Tuesday edition of the show which is your source for news, leaks, and insights about games and the gaming industry. Thanks for joining us today. Lots to talk about. Today is the day that the Fallout 76 beta goes live for Xbox One. Folks, those who are on the consoles, they get it a week earlier than the rest of us plebs.
No, just the Xbox. The PlayStation is in the same boat as us master race PC people. So.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Xbox. Did I say consoles?
Yeah, you said consoles.
Well,
Plural.
anyway, yeah, just the Xbox folks. They get it a week early. I'm not.
So
bitter.
we're gonna be getting a ton of info on this later today. It starts off at 7 EST, goes till about 11. We probably won't see too much more of anything that we haven't already seen. But it'll be interesting to see like all the streams and all the live streams and all the stuff coming out. And we'll also kind of start to get a picture of where the game's sitting on a technical aspect. So yeah, this is a big day.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And we'll, of course, there will be more details coming out over the week. In a recent video, we featured a tool that you can use to start to prep and build your Fallout 76 character. You can put in your special stat points, and it's got a bunch of the cards, these perk cards that are included in the game that you can slot in and start to plan your character build. But it doesn't have all the cards yet, so those will be coming, and so I'm sure we'll see a lot more of those this week. If you want to check that out, it's at nukesdragons.com.
Yeah, we have a little guide video on it, so check our last published video yesterday. And we also have an interview with the actual creator of the site and the tool that'll be going up here pretty soon. So,
yeah, absolutely. Some other things in the news today. So, Red Dead Redemption apparently it's come out that it is the most expensive game ever produced by a wide margin. And so we're going to be chatting about that a bit.
I find this number a little bit wrong, just because I believe the most expensive game that was ever created was actually Mass Effect Andromeda, because not only did it cost them a lot to make that game, and they sunk almost $300 million into it, it also cost them the entire franchise.
Yes. If you're talking about after the fact costs, absolutely, that was a costly one. That was a costly one for them. But yeah, so we'll be rounding out the show talking about Red Dead Redemption and some interesting stuff that this game looks like it's going to be amazing. I'm so irked that it's not coming to PC right away. I'm salty today, man. I don't get to play the Fallout 76 beta. We don't get Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, okay. I'll try to keep the salt bottled up, but yeah,
it's kind of sucky that again, it's like the consoles are like they're really trying. Like Microsoft is really trying to regain ground, and and the PlayStation is just sitting high and mighty. Although PlayStation's been running into some issues of its own. They just recently started doing a whole bunch of censorship stuff, so not too excited about that. But we'll keep our eye on that story and some other stuff. Of course, there's some more rumors that came out again about the PlayStation 5. It's like yeah, I started talking about that like months ago, but more rumors are starting to make the rounds for that. Nothing really worth mentioning other than like clearly this stuff is on the horizon. It's probably going to be the big central focus of next year. So we'll keep we'll keep you updated on what we get as far as that goes. So.
But first, we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077. But before we get to that, if you're listening live today, please say hello in the live chat. Send us your comments and questions there as well. We'll read and respond to as many of those as we can throughout the podcast. Hello, Rave. Hello, Max Mouse. Hello, Overlord 580. And hello, Dancing on the Ashes. And to anybody else who's listening live, welcome today. Thanks for joining the Augmented Reality Podcast. Don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough. helps us with the algorithms, all that stuff, and sub if you haven't already. But anyway, on to the stuff you came for. So Cyberpunk 2077, and okay, of all the people I never thought we'd be talking about on this channel, on this podcast, I'm pretty sure top of the list was Kanye West. I never thought I'd ever have occasion to talk about him on here on the Triple S League. But
well,
there's something.
Kanye West is a bit of an interesting fellow because he does poke his nose into a lot of like other pulp culture stuff. Like he's an anime fan. Like he watches anime. He borrows or rips, depending on your interpretation of content from
semantics, tomato.
Like yeah. So it's not necessarily abnormal. What is abnormal is the fact that, as we're going to get into here, it's like the guy only follows 21 other people on Twitter. Now you might say he's following 23, and I'm like, well, obviously, he's following himself because,
yeah.
Another bad joke. Sorry. So yeah,
nobody follows anybody like Kanye follows Kanye.
Yeah, but this is only one of like 23 accounts that he follows on Twitter. So he doesn't even follow, as far as I know. I looked this morning and I couldn't see him following any other games. So I'm pretty sure this is like this is the game that he's looking forward to the most. Or it means that we may be seeing some cross
that he might be people. There's been some speculation that there might be a collaboration going on, because a lot of the folks he follows on Twitter are people he has collaborated with.
Yeah.
Not exclusively, I don't think, but it's an interesting thing that of all the the very few things that that he follows on Twitter, one of them is Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting to note that that this is not the first big music star that the CDPR account has directly commented to with regards to Cyberpunk. They've also talked to Lady Gaga before, involving some Cyberpunk information. Now, this was years and years ago.
This is a weird one because Lady Gaga, like back in 2012, posted a tweet that was like a bunch of random gibberish. Just a bunch of letters strung together. It was weird. And then in 2018, was it the Cyberpunk account or the CDPR account? Can't remember. One of them replied to this tweet from 2012 and said, "Yes, of course we will." Something to that effect. It was really weird.
Yeah. So clearly there's either you have somebody who's taking advantage of some very clever, marketing ideas, or there's some actual potential crossover stuff being worked on, which wouldn't be that far out there. They are working with some pretty famous people from the music business with regards to the music that's going to be in Cyberpunk 2077, and they have a big enough budget. Clearly, they have a big enough budget to warrant bringing in some of these super mega stars. And if you can, if you can push, if you could push another, 1 or 2 million sales by having one or two of these partnerships, I mean, that's a really good thing. So, there's more and more. I mean, hell, Taylor Swift did a tie-in with the was it the Akira movie? No, not the Akira movie. The
was it Ghost in the Shell?
Ghost in the Shell movie. I don't know why I was thinking Akira. But yeah, in the Ghost of the Shell, she did kind of a thing on that too. So it's not, like I said, it's not abnormal. It's not impossible. It would definitely be new and very interesting and pretty awesome for the most part. But I think this is possibly queuing up something. We'll see.
It's all speculation at this point, but
yeah,
these mega superstars, I mean, they, especially someone was saying Lady Gaga would be a perfect fit, her eclectic style with with Cyberpunk. By the way, just speaking.
Well, they're going for different themes as well in the game as well. As far as the music goes, there's going to be like supposedly there's going to be, you know, different kinds of radio stations you can listen to with different kind of music, or there's going to be music playing a lot. Music is going to take is a part of the Cyberpunk universe, and is definitely going to be borrowing from, you know, as many, you know, interesting people as they can. And you just, like, you know, you just imagine that and how that can move copies and do sales and stuff like that. It's huge.
No, absolutely, and it blows me away thinking about when they produce these massive open world games, especially these days, how they have to craft this entire world full of cultures, full of sometimes multiple cultures that interact with each other, full of factions and things and different, you know, different architectural styles, all this stuff, and then music, and they, you know, they'll often, you know, they'll contract out someone to make this music, and it blows me away, because then you're in this game experiencing this constantly, and if it's done well, you don't really think about it until, except for those moments where you stop and appreciate, wow, they put a lot of work into this.
Now, one of the things that we have in Cyberpunk 2077 is we've got Johnny Silverhand. We also have this new character, the one on the thumbnail, Lizzie, and then we potentially have other, you know, these musical types that are based off of the class in the game. So I would not be shocked at all. I would not be surprised at all if during the course of the game you get to watch a concert through like the side of the stage or something like that, because you're like hired to, you know, give Lizzie some extra security during, you know, one of her shows. And part of the story, or part of the narrative that happens, is that you get to stand on the side of the stage and you watch her, you know, do one of these songs, and you have enough time to actually sit and watch the whole thing. And I think that's probably like, that would be amazing, because like that would, like, you know, you're a hard-boiled solo, you're out there, you know, taking these jobs, and you say, hey, we've got some crazies that are going after this music star, we need you to come protect the show. And then you're either sitting up in the rafters or in the back, or you're somewhere watching a full like show go on with this full musical score. That would be pretty awesome. And then you get right into, then you have to, like, you know, then somebody breaks in, they're trying to assassinate or whatever it could be. And I mean, that's where that bringing up the story level, and bringing up the gameplay, and bringing up the immersion, that's where that stuff can really help. And that would be very interesting. Totally, this is just totally speculation, but I think this is where CDPR is really trying to get out there and really trying to make something new and different. So I think it's probably it's a good sign. Mm-hmm. It's a very good sign. Yeah.
Speaking of Lady Gaga, she produced a Christmas special with the Muppets a few years ago, and remember watching it with my kids and really enjoyed it. But for the life of me, could not figure out which one was Lady Gaga.
Oh.
Captain Dammit says, "Get the transplants in Cyberpunk 2077." Is that a musical group? I'm not familiar with it, so
no,
you might have to explain that to me.
Yeah, we need an explanation on that. S is asking, do you think this is going to be the biggest open world map to date? Most likely it is. From what we've been hearing, it's been heavily leaning that way. They haven't come out and confirmed anything.
Thing is that there's so many huge open world games that are just about to come out.
Yes, and now we've got two of them that could possibly rival this, and the two are Red Dead, which is coming out in the next couple of days here. That map is absolutely massive, but that map is harder to compare with a map like Cyberpunk. And when we first broke the story, like well over a year ago, about the world of Cyberpunk and how big that map size is going to be and what kind of effect it's going to have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One of the key things to remember there, and the difference, is that in comparison to like The Witcher, or in comparison to, you know, high fantasy games where movement is not as fast, in Cyberpunk you have a car and you can drive. That right away is going to make the world bigger because it has to be out of a necessity. You can't be driving at 88 miles an hour on a freeway and drive for 23 seconds and get to your location. It's like because the speed at which you're moving and you're going from hub to hub or from zone to zone or whatever, if that's how it's being implemented, or if the entire map is being rendered and you have it's basically just like it's like the Grand Theft Auto world but like on steroids. If that's the case, in either of those cases, you're going to have a much bigger map. How it feels, though, is going to be a little bit different. So yeah, it's as far as like the biggest open world that has fill in it, that has like content that exists. We'll see how that plays out, and we'll see how that goes. But it's two different things when you're dealing with a fantasy game or a Western game versus something where you have cars and you have flying and stuff like that, because it's just the size of it and scope is just going to go up really, really fast, which is where, clever AI in helping you build the world is really important. You want an AI to help build the general world, but then you have to go in with the level creators and the artists to actually go in and double check everything manually. It's a whole hell of a lot easier to have a computer script and build a world, and then for you to go in and groom that world, than it is for you to go in and hand build every single building by hand. The artists are building literally every building, every room, every floor, every map layout by hand. It's like, there's a point in which that just gets ridiculous and doesn't work at all. So the other one is going to be Halo, the new Halo game, which is going to be an open world game from the looks of it, and is supposedly, again, all speculation. We haven't heard anything solid on this, but what I've been hearing is that world is going to combine this open world butterfly effect universe. So everything is going to be affecting everything else. Subtle changes can happen that change the game, the world, the environment, the locations, everything rapidly and quickly. So that's going to be interesting to see. And that is what we've been hearing, is they've been touting that this is going to be a full ring world. So you're going to be able to walk the full ring world. I'm not 100% convinced on this, because it would be a really tiny ring. It's a little hard to believe, primarily because it's like the size of the size of a ring world. Like say we create a ring world in our solar system. That's the size of like 10,000 Earths at the very minimum. It's like you don't have the processing power or the ability to create that much content. If it's a lot smaller, if it doesn't nearly have that much room, in fact, if it's got you take if you were to cut out all of New York and make that a 100% to scale environment, and you were to put 10,000 people into that would be a very lonely place, because it's so there's so much vertically and there's so much horizontally and there's so much that you can hide in. You can hide in a house, and if the entire city of 10,000 people were looking for you, it might take them like a week to search every single house. Like that's the concept of the size of the thing. And if you go too big, if you create too much space, then you just end up with the No Man's Sky problem, where it's like, yeah, there's an infinite number of worlds to explore, however, they're infinitely boring. It's like, yeah, that's insane. Notional, is that happening again? CDPR employees are getting doxxed for the tweet again. Is this happening a second time, or is this? Are you quoting something that happened the first time? But in either way, that's disgusting. Like, people need to calm themselves.
Yeah.
You don't need to fly off the handle for, that kind of stuff. It's like people make mistakes. It's like, you know, like
mob justice is not the way. This is, you know, we live in a disgusting time as far as that goes, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Let's see here. So anyway, as far as Cyberpunk goes, was there anything else for that one?
No, for the most part, I don't think so. It's interesting to kind of see that there is some stuff and some movement going on here, and the fact again that this happened at a moment of dead space. Me and Mad Queen were talking, Mad Queen and I were talking yesterday about how it seems that all of the leaks and all of the info about Cyberpunk, it's coming out at this like really steady, really constant basis. It's like go no more than 6 days without some new piece of information coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems incredibly scripted, or it seems like it's incredibly convenient that this stuff comes out one after the other, and it doesn't. It's just there's something there that's like you're shaking your head, going, "Huh, this is really interesting." I mean, it's bizarre. It's really bizarre, but.
Captain C. Stutz asks, any news on CDPR redoing the gunplay in Cyberpunk 2077 as it's been rumored?
Well, we know that it's been a priority of them to improve the gunplay a little bit. How much they can change or tweak it at this point in the development process, we don't know. But we can assume that they're going to improve. They're going to at least improve it a little bit more, and that's probably the biggest.
Yeah, we don't have any big developments on that. Captain Dammit says transplants are a punk band, and then somebody also, Dennis says if CDPR needs a deal with Gunship, which I just googled, and yes, is also a band. So yes, that'd be. You should tweet that at CD Projekt Red. When I looked up Gunship, the artwork associated with it was so cyberpunk it almost hurt. So yeah, that seems like it would be a good fit. So all right, so that's about all for Cyberpunk news this week, but there's going to be a ton of stuff.
Expect more. They've got Thronebreakers coming out very soon, so obviously keep your eye on that. There'll probably be a little bit of a lull in news for Cyberpunk when that happens. But then, as the next set of things gets there, then we'll see where that goes from there too. So, yeah.
Bad Company Sarge says, "Get all the bands in there." That would be immersive. Yeah, all the bands have about 1,000 different radio stations you could listen to in the game. Make it happen. Make it happen. All right. So the Fallout 76 beta is live for Xbox players. And we're anticipating a lot of new information to come out this week. And so Saib, you had something you wanted to talk about with regard to this.
So, I mean, 76 pay very close attention to the information and news that we're going to be getting later tonight and then over the next couple of days. Overall, what we've been hearing is that there's more and more and more people starting to become excited for the game. The hype is starting to go up positively. And as far as, and we'll see today whether or not what we've been told and what we're hearing is true, is that the engine in the system is running smoother and smoother and smoother, and that all of the issues that we saw in the Greenbrier event is not happening now. Now, we covered this a couple days ago, and it just continues to feed in that direction. That being said, Bethesda felt like they needed to come out and kind of like potentially dodge some launch day issues by setting out a letter that basically said. It said two things. It said, it's like, we've never done something like this before. We felt like we really needed to, though. And we felt that we we felt that giving a multiplayer experience to the gamers is important, but please bear with us. If there's any problems, you have our guarantee that we are going to fix them, period. So it was kind of like one of these, like, hey, the game might be really buggy, might be difficult, you might not enjoy it right away, but we promise that we're not throwing this out. This is not a cash grab, is essentially what they said. Now, you can interpret that how you want. Some people are like, oh, their sales numbers are falling, which is not, there's nothing that kind of proves that, unless they've been intentionally not reselling some of the, the special and power armor editions that they have. Like, as soon as there's been no time where you've been able to rebuy that stuff. So if there are cancellations, they're being rebought almost instantaneously.
Right.
Unless Bethesda's like, oh, well, we just had 10,000 people cancel, so we're just not going to resell these ones because it'll make us look bad. I doubt they would be doing that. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And for the most part, that's not how automatic ordering systems work. As soon as you cancel one item, it goes back up on the market for somebody to rebuy, because Amazon's not interested in bidding on a select amount of things that they're going to sell to the public, and then when somebody or a ton of people cancel those pre-orders, they're interested in reselling those as quickly as possible. They're not interested in not selling them. So there's a handful of info that is bad, or is just people venting or being angry or being upset, that's coming out, and as far as this stuff goes, please don't give it that much much attention. There is legitimate things to be worried about. I'm extremely worried about a lot of things when it comes to this game. One of the bigger things that I'm worried about is what they're doing to the lore, and the fact that they've never really taken advantage or built upon the lore in a long-term predefined way. And I really think they should, and I think it's one of the things that they really, 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 really need to do. And hey, Chris Avalon is free, as far as I know. He's open contract right now. Honestly, if Pete or anybody at Bethesda is listening, please contact him. Get him, Todd, and one or two of the other writers into a room and bang out 2 new versions of the Fallout Bible. Bang out a new one that restates and clearly states everything that we have that's publicly known up to this date and time. And then second, do another one that's for internal use only, for like the long goals of the game. So, Fallout 5 through 10, like, plan for those in advance, do a bit of writing, come up with some good stuff, and then use that as kind of like a guide going forward. That's honestly what I would hope and wish they do, because they've never really taken the story and made it their own. They're relying on a lot of stuff, and it's interesting that even in Fallout 4 and in Fallout 3, they were using straight up copies from the Wikipedia, because there was 1 or 2 spelling errors or errors in the way that a line was written, or a word or a name of one of the characters in the Fallout universe that was on the Wikipedia that ended up being in the Fallout games. So what really? You can tell is that, oh yeah, this was one of the big things, is that there's this, it's clear that Bethesda didn't ever really go out and rewrite all of the lore and make it their own. They've been borrowing from essentially what the community has been writing about for ages. And that's part of the problem, is now that they are taking the lore and they are making these new radical changes by going into a game that's, happens before all of the other games. When they do that, this changes a lot of stuff, and this alters how you perceive the world in general. And this is really, really dangerous, but at the same time, it's like it had to be done at some point, but I just wish that they would have taken advantage of it a little bit more. One of the things that has me very pissed off this week is the Enclave. The Enclave is in 76. It's like, okay, great, guys.
I saw something about that. I thought
it's like
I thought it was like this. I was like, this has got to be a hoax. Like,
they hid out on this oil refinery, and they hid out on the East Coast, and they've been dormant for hundreds of years, but suddenly they showed up. It's like, okay, a little bit of a problem with this. One of the bigger problems is that if the Enclave showed themselves beforehand, the Brotherhood eventually would have heard about them, most likely. So if you have the Brotherhood and the Enclave showing up in the same time now, that means that they shouldn't be shocked when they show up in Fallout 2 and in Fallout 3.
Right, because they know about each other.
Because they would have known
to be in the same area.
It was made clear. It was made clear that they don't know about each other. So, that the Brotherhood doesn't know about the Enclave. The Enclave knew about everything because they've been monitoring everything for years. So it's interesting how and where and what they're looking at. There's clearly something crazy going on here, and that's a little annoying on my part. Again, I'm more than willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, possibly. But at the same time, it's like, guys, can we please just get the lore under control, because that in a game that focuses around RPG and the story and the lore, this is the most important thing. This has to hold the game together. This holds a franchise together. And if you start being flippant with it, then that's problematic. But overall, from what we've been hearing and I suspect what we'll hear is that the game actually plays pretty decently. That it's not necessarily the same Fallout as Fallout 4, but maybe that's a good thing. And one of the things that I want to bring up here is that Tomb Raider just put out the last game in its trilogy, and it sold poorly. It sold really poorly. They even put I think it's like a 30% discount on it on Steam.
It's on sale now. Yeah, for, less than 6 weeks after release, it's already on sale.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was. The sales ended now, but
okay.
As of recording the podcast, it's ended. Now this made a lot of people really upset, because it's like, well, I paid full price for that. But here's the question: why did Tomb Raider do poorly? Did the game suck? And we look into it, and the biggest complaint is that it's very formulaic, and it pretty much just feels like a rehash of the last two games. So this is an important question that we need to approach with all gaming and all games, especially franchise games. Is like, if it's just the same thing with just new storyline, is that enough? Because in the world of Lara Croft and Tomb Raider, it clearly isn't. So this is really, really, really important. Are we going to be okay, and are we okay with games that don't change what they're giving you, and they just repeat and rehash the same stuff over and over and over again? Is that something that you're okay with? Are you okay with never having any change to a series or a genre or a particular type of game? Do you want developers like Bethesda to just do cookie cutter builds and just keep on pumping out the same cookie cutter thing every day for the next 20 years? Like, is that are you okay with it? Is this what you are wanting, or is this something that you're okay with? And for the most part, I'm sitting back and I'm saying, no, I don't want this. This is the worst thing that could possibly happen to a game series, is it stagnating and just falling apart because it wasn't handled correctly. On the other hand, going too far and going too out there gives you things like Mass Effect Andromeda, where suddenly it's like, well, now you're so far away from the story and the concept that it just kind of falls on its face. But I think maybe that had more to do with the presentation than changing up too much. The storyline was kind of flat and a little dry and felt like not the greatest.
But so how do you strike that balance between this doesn't feel like a Mass Effect game because they changed it too much, as opposed to this is just another Tomb Raider. Like, this is exactly the same as the previous two games.
And now we saw this with Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, not with New Vegas. Fallout 3, they took away traits. And in Fallout 4, they took away a lot of skills. So you're sitting back and you're going, wow, this kind of sucks. However, in Fallout 76, you have the return of traits in the form of mutations, which does make a little bit more sense because, I mean, I really like the traits and I really wish they would add them. It adds that extra level of depth for character creation, and I really love that. One of my favorite things to do is to sit down and design a new character in Fallout 2 every now and then. It's one of the most coolest things ever to sit down, look at that character sheet, experiment, and play with builds and have some fun. I don't normally play through it all the way very much, but it's like it's fun doing that, and I wish for more. And I like the traits in New Vegas. I like the way that they approach that kind of stuff. New Vegas is definitely my favorite Fallout game, pretty much, hands down. And it's fun to do that, and it's engaging to do that. And I think that's where the real spirit of the game is. But as you see, Bethesda got rid of that feature, and then they've come back and re-added it in. And so the process of them going back and adding in and keeping the game moving is a good thing. And I want certain things to always be there. I do want skills to be there. I want the special stats to be there and to be meaningful. I want traits to be there. I like the mutations, and I hope that they keep them in. And I hope that we can lean on and have those around in future games, because it does add that extra level of like fascination and interest. So yeah, going forward, I hope that they do it right. And I think 76 is them attempting to breathe life into the series and tweak things a little bit more. And I think we have to give them credit when they put out this letter. They're basically saying, look, guys, we're not, we're a company, we need to make money. So obviously we're going to make something that is live servicey and is, if you want, you can sink a lot of money into it. If you don't want to sink a lot of money into it, you don't have to. You just buy the base game, whatever. But overall, we're not EA. We're not becoming a company that's just going to spam you with garbage. Like, yes, we released Skyrim like probably 2 additional times more than was probably purely necessary. Yeah, we probably should have like added some tweaks into the game and whatnot, but we're not an evil company. We're a company that needs to make money at the end of the day, and we're interested in bringing you the best of the games that we've made in the past and keeping up with this high level. So in that regard, I think we can sit back and say, okay, let's give this a decent chance. I always use the term, go into it like you went into seeing Thor. Thor, the original, the first Thor movie of the new MCU was great. Some of the MCU movies recently, some of the new ones coming out, some of the ones that have been out recently, there's some there's some either people getting bored of it or whatever. But I remember that first time going in to see Thor. I saw it on opening day, and I went in to see it on opening day just because I happened to be free and I had nothing to do. And I remember walking out of the theater, everybody was like, that was really good. I was expecting it to bomb, but that was actually really, really good. So, and it shows if you go into a movie expecting, or you go into a video game and you're expecting it to be terrible, and it's actually pretty good, that actually tends to win you over and make you more of a fan than if you went in expecting this is going to be the greatest movie ever. You get in there, you sit down, and you're like, well, that was garbage. It's like, so you have to bridge these two concepts. And I think what we have with 76 is they're attempting to make something new and unique and a little bit better. They definitely haven't gone about it the best way. And I'm hoping that they have a good idea of what they're doing with the lore. They're going to make it reasonable and understandable. One of the things that I've heard floated out recently is that the Brotherhood of Steel that is in Appalachia is not the Brotherhood of Steel from the West. They are a group of military service members who were in a military bunker of some kind out in Appalachia, who got contacted by the Brotherhood via satellite and decided to join up with them and create this localized chapter. And that the people that the Brotherhood of Steel that you're seeing there are people who became Brotherhood of Steel, joined the Brotherhood of Steel from that point, then lost contact with them after the satellite got taken down, and that's what that Defiance has fallen. Defiance is supposedly the satellite or the space station or something, and that was how they were communicating with this group out east. And this group out east, you know, they find this thing, they kind of are talking back and forth, because at this time, you got to remember, at this time, they're still military members. They're still ranking U.S. military members still alive at this point, thoroughly throughout the Brotherhood of Steel out in the West, but also potentially with this Eastern group too. So if they make this really concise and they really nail the lore on the head, and then the story goes that they all died out, and that one of the things one of the reasons why the Brotherhood decided to travel east to get to Washington, to get to the East Coast, was for the sole purpose of, like, well, we were out there before and we want to go out there again. If that's how they do it, if that's how they handle it, I feel that they can fit that in. But if it's shoehorned in and the writing's bad and it doesn't really explain a lot of stuff, it's not going to go over very well with the fans. It's just not, and
I wonder...
and it's going to be really problematic. And that's what I'm more worried about. The combat, I'm not worried about the combat. The combat is fun. The combat is Fallout 4, just more fun, and that's not a bad thing. That is a good thing. Is the gameplay boring? Not the combat, but is the gameplay boring? Like, is it going to be that fun to go out on a scrap run, scrap a bunch of stuff, come back to an empty settlement, craft some stuff so that you can go out and repeat the exact same process? Well, that's fun for the amount of time that I would normally spend in like a Diablo game or something like that. It's like I got to 50 and then I'm bored, and then I don't play it anymore. So that's possible that the game might do that, but at the same time, it's like, at the same time, there are games like that I already play. So why would I make a negative judgment based on a game because of that? Especially if they're going to be adding stuff to the game, especially if they, add NPCs. I've already been talking with some of the other modders who are behind the game, and they're already starting to make plans. And one of the plans is, hey, we're going to start working on some NPCs and some characters and some stuff to add to the game, and we're going to start by doing some writing once we get into the game, and we're going to start planning now so that we can have most of the mod ready when they release the tools and give us the access to mod the game in about a year. And I mean, it took us over a year to make the mod that we put out, which is absolutely effing massive. It's there's multiple characters in it, thousands of voice dialogue lines. Our character, our premier character that we added in alone, has got like almost 2,000 lines of dialogue for her. So
shout out to Thuggy Smurf who did
for
most
putting
of the heavy lifting
putting
on
it all
the
together.
technical sides, the technical side of it. For sure.
So
I wonder.
So I think overall, I think this game is going to do well, but you have to know what it is, and if it's not something that you're interested in, as far as like what the kind of gameplay they're offering, then don't buy it now. Wait a while, wait a couple months, and when it goes on sale or when they throw it up for free or whatever, get into it then, play through the story part of it that you want, and then that's it. That's all you guys have to do.
I wonder on the lore side, I have to wonder if down the road this will become another non-canon title of the series. I mean, I suppose that's less likely because it is in-house Bethesda Studios, but
well, the interesting thing to note here is that all of our characters, unless there's a way to become immortal or transfer into a robot, all of our characters from 76 are going to be long dead by any of the other games, even by Fallout 1 standards. What they could say is that, the survivors, I could just imagine Ron Perlman saying, The survivors of Vault 76 broke up. Many of them died trying to stop the mutations. Some of them managed to, stave off the insanity. Others embraced the insanity because war never changes. And, the survivors of the event managed to, managed to populate a new group of raiders, survivors,
ghoul raiders, because
whatever.
West Virginia, with West Virginia being a multiplayer hotbed, it's just going to nuke itself to oblivion. So, yeah.
And then war never changes. And I mean, I guess that would make sense, and that would be okay. I really want them to change where I want the games to go in the future for future Fallout titles is I want them to get into, I want them to redo the lore around Vault Zero. It's probably one of the biggest things that I was pissed with when that terrible game came out, which totally destroyed the whole Vault Tech conspiracy thing and just really trashed it overall. It's like, it's such a terrible game. But yeah, redo that one. Let us play up the conspiracy of Vault Tech and what was going on there in future games. And I think in this one, there's a good chance that we will see some hints, but nothing conclusive, because Vault 76 is one of these big, like, everybody knew what that vault was. Everybody knew where it was. Everybody knew what, that was no secret. Unlike some of the other vaults that were built under schools or built under, built out in the middle of nowhere or, down shafts or anything like that. It's like, yeah. So overall, looking forward to it. We do not have an Xbox, so we will not be playing it or streaming it tonight, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Very tempted, but no, I'm not. As soon as it comes out on PC, I'm never going to touch the Xbox again. So there's no point. There's literally no point. So
Bad Company Sarge says, I like the fact that they, being Bethesda, are being upfront rather than just pushing that it'll be great straight away. The more open they can be with the audience early on, the better the chances the people will be forgiving of mistakes. Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from with that. At the same time, it's kind of, I don't know, it doesn't lift my spirits that they're kind of like, so yeah, we know this is going to be a buggy mess, but yeah, we're going to fix it after you get in there and get your hands dirty. I mean, I appreciate, like Saib said earlier, I definitely appreciate that they've committed to, they're open about the fact that they're breaking new ground, breaching new territory here, that this is, they haven't done this kind of a thing before. So yes, and of course we're just heading into the beta. So that's the important thing to remember. This isn't full release. We're about to head into the beta. And those of us who will be playing the game this week and the following couple of weeks, we are beta testing it. So, I mean, that's important context as well that we need to keep in mind. So hopefully by release, it's feels like a full release quality title. But I do also appreciate the fact that they're committing to continuing to develop this game. And like Saib said, that things may get added in, that things may get changed. If people are commenting, well, there's just a lot of empty space with nothing going on, that they might come back and say, hey, guess what? For update that changes all that and makes an amusement park full of glowing ghouls or something. Who knows, right?
So that's probably one of the first areas I'm going to go to is the amusement park.
Yeah,
it's like it's straight north and a little bit west. Yeah, it's straight northwest from the vault.
Did you, when you were playing Nuka World, did you ever get to a part where there was like a glowing ghoul standing in and riding the teacup ride? It was funny as heck, and I was watching him through my sniper lens thinking, how long has he been standing there?
Can you imagine being a ghoul, getting ghoulified, and then being stuck on a ride that just every 20 seconds started up again after it finishes, and that's your existence for 150 years before somebody snipes you from a distance. It's like
That's basically what happened. That was the end of
wow.
Teacup riding Google.
No wonder they went insane. It's like,
Yeah.
good Lord.
Dancing on the Ashes. I feel like a school teacher. You can do better, Bethesda. Well, yeah.
True. I feel that I feel that they can do better, and I also feel that that there's some aspects of this game that they've clearly not done a lot of work in, maybe, but that again I'm not listening to my own advice. It's like I know that that's not what they've intended to do. Like one of the points I made yesterday, on the Discord, is that Todd Howard thought that this was a good thing. He thought that he was going to get cheers when he said, and every single survivor you meet is another player. He said that, and he was standing there expecting to get like, woo, yay, awesome. And all he got was this weird silence. And he realized,
I don't think anyone was expecting that at all. I don't think anybody was sitting back thinking this is what we want.
Well, and that's the thing is has he lost contact with, has he lost touch with the fan base? Has he lost touch with the players? Is he not what at what point did somebody go, we might want to say that's a highlight. It may not be that this is actually something that everybody wants.
Not necessarily the big selling point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
so somewhere along the line, he thought, oh yeah, this is going to be they thought, Bethesda as a whole thought, this is going to be a big selling point, and people are going to be interested in this.
Well, it wasn't a completely groundless conclusion either, because I mean, they followed Fortnite was insanely popular at that point, and still is. And so the Battle Royale hype train was in full throttle, and they probably thought, hey, if we made, not copying that, but multiplayer seems to be where it's at, and things like that. So I mean, not completely groundless, but yeah, perhaps a bit of a miscalculation. But at the same time, I don't think it's hurt the hype for the game either.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Notional says, I just want Vault 77 with dead puppets inside. Oh, the follow Five Nights at Freddy's Vault. Someone's got to make that mod. That would be fantastic. And I know Vault 77 was a real thing in the lore. So yeah, I'm not just talking out my ass there. So Dancing on the Ashes says, we're not beta testing. That's done already. We're stress testing the service. I mean, good point. Yes. I mean, there is a distinction there. They're calling it the beta, but stress testing the servers is, I suppose, technically what we are doing. So, and Bad Company Sarge, if they said it wouldn't be a buggy mess, I don't think any of us would believe them. Well, when Todd Howard can get up on stage at E3 and make jokes about how buggy their games are at launch, they've just accepted it. They've just owned it, and I suppose that's a good thing. So
yeah.
All right, everybody.
Yeah,
well, we love seeing the excellent discussion in the chat. By the way, if you want to keep the conversation going after the live broadcast, we welcome you to join our Discord community. You can find the link in the description below. A place where you can chat with us and other Triple S fans about all the things we love to talk about. You can meet with people to game with, stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. Click the link below to join, and be sure to say hi to us in the welcome channel. And there's been lots of excellent discussion about Red Dead Redemption 2 going on there in the Discord, which has gotten me hyped for a game that I can't play.
Yeah.
Until it comes out on PC. But was there anything more about Fallout before we move on?
No, not about Fallout.
Okay. So Red Dead Redemption 2, the numbers are out, and it is apparently the most expensive video game that has ever been created by a wide margin. $800 million.
Supposedly, yeah.
It's
massive and huge on so many levels.
as a point of reference. As a point of reference, Grand Theft Auto 5, released in 2013, is the next in line at $265 million.
I think those numbers are different. Well, I wonder how much of those numbers are, like, there's some games that took 250 and some that took 300, some that took 400 million, but I think that was including advertising. So
yes, yeah. I'm not sure how it. Well, this what I'm looking at here, this is the wiki, and this agrees with another article I read. This says 137 in development cost and 128 in marketing cost for Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, if you adjust for inflation, second place actually goes to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And that one had that spent 4 times as much on marketing than it did on actual development. But anyway, we're kind of getting off in the nitty gritty. Anyway, if you're looking at game budgets of like 300 to 400 million at the top end, and Red Dead Redemption 2 is twice that. And if you're looking at, like, if you take this number, GTA 5's $265 million cost, you're looking at over 3 times that for Red Dead Redemption 2. So I mean, this is an insane amount of money, and so how much they must be planning to make back on that must be insane.
Yeah, it's huge. But the thing that I don't understand is you don't really have a character creator. You're playing this like such a predefined character that I wonder if that's going to hurt them a little bit. I'm always a fan of giving people like as much choice as they can get in character customization, primarily because I love creating characters. But yeah, that's shocking because in Grand Theft Auto you at least had like 3 different main characters to pick from. In this one you only have the one, and everything's built around just the one. So I mean I hope that the game does really, really well, but also as far as like, it's like I'm not sure how interested I am in that single character, because there's a portion of me that feels it's just like a bit of a Nathan Fillion ripoff. Like he even looks like him a little bit. So I'm not sold that it's that I don't know. I don't know. I hope they just don't lose a lot of money, because that would suck. But
I have a feeling this game is going to do insanely well.
Yeah, probably. I've been watching it for a while, and overall, it's like the hype for this game in Europe is still really, really low. It's really high in North America, and it's really, really high in Asia. So, potential for it to do some serious good. And then we have the multiplayer component that is coming out later on down the road. So we'll see how much of that actually impacts the game as well. Because I think there's a lot of content that we're not seeing yet because the multiplayer is not in yet. So we may end up getting that character creator. We may end up getting the same open world. We may end up getting a whole bunch of different things. We'll see exactly how the multiplayer goes off. But I suspect strongly that that multiplayer functionality that will be added to the game later, I know that will be something somewhere down the road. So we'll see how that goes.
Acutely Accurate Academic says, what if no one buys it? I'm from the UK and no one seems bothered. Yeah, that seems to be, like Cy was saying, the hype in Europe doesn't seem to be there. Although someone was mentioning, I believe on Friday's podcast, somebody was mentioning that they were also in Europe and they were interested in it and had some friends interested in it. I can't remember. But if no one buys it, obviously, well, bye-bye Rockstar.
No, not bye Rockstar. Rockstar has so much money. It's ridiculous.
True, but I mean, wow, that would be.
Grand Theft Auto is now the highest grossing franchise in entertainment. Period. It outrated everything else, even Star Wars movies and games and all that kind of stuff. And so, like, they're not like they could throw away this much money on like another 4 games and still be okay with it. It's like, yeesh. Yeah, so they've been making a lot of money off of Grand Theft Auto for a long time.
Well, yeah, they're not hurting for money for sure, but that's
no.
Well, I mean, and that kind of explains why they can afford this kind of investment. But the size, I mean, what we've been hearing about, just I don't know, the size. The world is supposed to be massive, but the dynamics of the world, the AI, the townspeople living realistic lives, going to places at different times of day, interacting with each other, wildlife having realistic AI and patterns to it, and tons of mocap, tons and tons of mocap, and some, tons and tons of voice actors. So you're not getting, oh, I've heard this voice 20 times this past hour. That's 15.
Yeah, no,
characters.
definitely. Like all of this stuff is, and I've been saying this for a while, is like the next level of open world gaming that you see is when somebody reworks the AI to have that, which is weird because the system was inside video games a long time ago. In one of the original, I can't remember the name of the game, but in one of the original MMOs, they created a world where like wolves feed on rabbits, feed on flowers, and they had this whole life cycle to them, and they found that as soon as they let gamers into the world, the gamers would just go through and kill everything inside the world in like an hour. Everything would be dead. Literally everything. They would leave nothing alive. It didn't matter if there was one rabbit left in the entire like desert module. They would hunt that last rabbit down and kill it and make the entire species extinct on the server. However, they just didn't create a big enough world. I think they kept it quite small at the time. So
well, if you're talking about an older MMO, then obviously.
Oh, this was one of the first gen ones out too, which was like this is like barely out of text. But this is one of the things, and this is why overall I think this is now going to change that, because we have a world that's big enough. We have stuff to create and to allow this world to exist. Plus, it's not a massive multiplayer game. It's just you inside the world. So we're going to see a new level at which I would call truly next generation. This is the next generation of open world games, and this will definitely change everything going forward. Any game going forward is going to have to employ at least some of this stuff. And of course, not every studio can afford that. And this is where I think modding really is going to start to creep up again in main usage format, because one of the things that I hear a lot from small indie studios is like, well, we'd love to add this, and this, but we can't because we're not allowed to. And it's like, well, what if you brought in modders to do it? Like, what if you allowed a modder to access your character creator models and just create better models for you? It's like, then you could be doing other stuff. And he's like, we can't do that because licensing. Like, well, no, you can. Like, you can work around that. There's ways that you can work around that. You can pay them by contract basis. You can hold competitions. There's dozens of things that you can do. And I think that's going to start to come around again, because a lot of these smaller studios are not going to be able to do what Rockstar has done here. And Rockstar is definitely kicking this up to the next level. So
absolutely,
we'll see where this goes.
Do you ever think we're going to hit a critical mass where games are just too big to be profitable?
No.
Where they're just like they cost too much?
No, the cost is, like I said, you will start to find, like, how many times do you think somebody has mocapped the swinging of a sword in a frontal swing from right to left fashion? How many times do you think all studios that have any kind of motion capture or any kind of animation studio has done that? Or how many times do you think somebody has mocapped somebody shooting a hand pistol? It's like, how many literally probably thousands and thousands of times now. How many of those are being reused? next to none. And eventually, some of these studios, some of these companies like Epic, they're going to just start selling this stuff in giant packs and be like, okay, you want to be a creator, you want to, well, we have this list of mocaps and stuff here. Just pay a little, little bit of a licensing fee, or you can buy it straight out, or it comes with the big package when you're buying access to the game. Epic Epic makes the engine, and that engine is there. It's getting more and more stuff. Like the apps, there's a store in the Epic store, and then there's a store in a couple of these other smaller game creation for creating app games and stuff like that, where people just create assets all day long. And you have people who go in, they create really good assets, and then they just sell them. And then people basically buy them and flip them. Now, asset flipping is not the greatest way to make games, but there will come a point where more and more and more and more of this stuff is utilized and implemented via the use of AI and clever engine technology, where eventually you will see entire games created by a very small team, and they're only doing basically writing, general design, and gameplay tweaks, and everything else, world, environment, NPCs, voice dialogue, all this stuff is created by other people and other programs, and you're basically outsourcing everything. So as long as you have the vision to create these gigantic worlds and this good story, and as long as you're willing to do the work to make sure that the game works, you're literally cutting your what you need for the crew down from this humongous number down to this really, really, really tiny number. And I think eventually that's where it's gonna go. So,
right. Okay. Yeah. Definitely. As the technology gets better and better, things will get more streamlined. But yeah, you just have to wonder you think how massive these game worlds are getting now. Is there a point where there isn't any benefit to making it bigger, like where it's already so realistic and where it's already so massive and immersive in everything that gamers want that it won't there won't be any point into improving it? As
long as the world is filled with something. So again, this harkens back to there was an early, I can't remember the name of it, but there was an early MMO that was basically it was like poor man's Fallout MMO, and that game featured around this big section of real life world. And what they did is they actually went out and they scanned in this gigantic area, and then they used this area as their map layout, and it was massive. It was literally absolutely massive. There was one little thing with it though. It was empty as F. It's just, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
You would run for 20, 30 minutes to cover a small corner, tiny little bit of the map, and you would encounter pretty much nothing. And it's like, okay, yeah, in that sense, yeah, that game was too big and it was too empty to really do anything with. However, if you can get an AI in there and you say, hey, AI, can you build me 104 different mini settlements with an average population of between 20 humans, 5 mutants, and an average of 0.4 unique special creatures per town. And the AI will say, how many quests do you want? You say, put in an average of 15.4 quests per town. And for towns that have half of the towns focus on, industry, the other half of the towns focus on survival, some of the towns focus on agriculture, and then add in, here's the sex ratio of the different sexes in it. Here's how many livestock to add in to the towns, unless it's like this. And you're literally just telling the AI this. The AI goes, okay, cool. I'm going to utilize these voices from these voice actors who are putting up their work to be added into the game. You're like, cool, add those in, add add this, add that, and you're going to have one guy that's going to be able to create essentially or girl, whatever. You're going to be able to create this massive world just by letting the AI do most of the artificial construction. Then you're going to go in and you're going to explore, you're going to be walking around, you're going to be like, okay, can you make this building bigger? Can you make this building look more damaged? Can we change this building from this style to more of a Gothic style? Can we change this into a car? Can we do? And you're just going to go in, and the AI is going to be able to build things as you're walking through. That's the future of game development. Is that, and we're already there. Like the Scorpio technology has already done that for some of the hardware systems. And like I said, Epic and these other companies that work on game engines, why make money? Like, you can make money off of a hot selling game, but why not make a game engine that is the definite, the most elaborate, the most, I mean, we've worked with game engines before. We know that there's some that you can do pretty much anything you want in it. You can make a flat 2D game in some of these engines, whereas you go to some of these other, and then you, in the same one, you can also make like a full, like, deep third person RPG, first person shooter, whatever you want. And eventually, whether it's Unity or whether it's Epic, one of these companies, or maybe a new company, will incorporate this next level AI, and then suddenly you're going to be able to walk in and you're going to have this like world that's filled with a whole bunch of stuff, and then you're going to be able to craft and fine tune the more special stuff, and you're going to be able to give everybody personalities, and the only big thing is going to be like the acting and the writing. It's basically where it's going to where it's going to excel, or it's going to be garbage.
Interesting. So. I have tons of questions about how that would work and still feel natural, but anyway, we'll table that for the time being, because we're coming up against our time limit here. So
the only final thing that I want to mention is that overall, we've got some news coming. There's some not news. There's some more action being talked about as far as the Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3 thing. So there's some movement going on there. So we're not gonna rehash anything, but we were right about the the VR thing. So keep it here. We're not gonna talk about it too much until it comes out. And
but if you're curious, Supmato has got some videos. Well, especially check out Supmato's most recent video on it, talking about some strange activity on Steam regarding Borderlands 2 and Borderlands pre-sequel. And we're going to be having him on the podcast on Friday to talk more about that. So definitely come back for that. And if you're so inclined, definitely hit that sub button so you know when we go live, assuming we don't screw up like last time and not alert anyone when we're live. Although that wasn't entirely our fault. But it's so cliche to blame YouTube. Anyway, YouTube's fault. Anyway, don't forget to like and sub if you appreciate this weekly content. If you're listening after the fact on SoundCloud or iTunes, Apple Podcasts, any of that stuff, definitely we appreciate your likes and subscribes. And there it is. I'm like, why isn't my outro going? So I clicked the wrong thing, dang nabbit. Definitely thank you for liking and subbing, and I want to especially thank our Patreon supporters here today, Old Man Manson, Jeranon, and our 2 anonymous supporters. Thank you so much for helping us do what we do. Thank you so much for helping us do this podcast and the other content we produce, and we are working hard behind the scenes to try and bring you all of the, all kinds of informative and entertaining content, all of the stuff about about games and the gaming industry that we think that you will be interested in. So definitely we appreciate our supporters for that. We also appreciate anyone who hits that like button and subscribes for future content. Those things help us out a ton. And I would encourage you to do so, and also join our Discord server where you can chat with us and other folks. As I said, lots of good discussion going on there as well. And you can let us know about things you hear about that you'd like us to talk about. We get stuff like that quite often. All right. And the Augmented Reality Podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ash Unity, and on behalf of Cybsidian, thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Like a Hellcat.